the Ninja Legion, and I'm Spider. Welcome to another episode of Bagged and Boarded, where we talk about the latest in comic book news. Have a few number ones to talk about this week. We had the first part of Marvel's Axis event happen this week. We also had the beginning of the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch series called The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. A new book from Image called The October Faction, as well as a fantasy book from Image called Birthright. I'm going to start off with talking about Axis. This is Marvel's big end-of-the-year event. It's going to run along the same time as the Spider-Verse event. This is a Avengers X-Men team-up to take down a big bad guy style thing. So the opposite of the old Avengers versus X-Men thing. So there were a few issues that led up into this, and I didn't read quite all of them. So the basic idea of this is the end of Avengers versus X-Men. Scott Summers gets all the Phoenix Force, goes Dark Phoenix, and kills Charles Xavier. Well, apparently after Charles Xavier was killed, the Red Skull got his hands on Charles Xavier's brain, and somehow having Charles Xavier's brain let him get Charles Xavier's mutant powers. So now he's an Omega-level telepath. Not quite sure how that all happened, but I guess if I would have read Uncanny Avengers, I would have known, but it's a little weird to me. So the Red Skull's been going around. He's been abducting mutants and bringing them back to the island of Genosha, which used to be a mutant safe haven, until it was attacked by like Super Sentinels and destroyed, and a lot of mutants died there. Basically, he's turned Genosha into a new Auschwitz. I said the Red Skull being, Hydra, former Nazi, he's using it as a forced labor concentration camp type thing. So Magneto's in his comic has been following the trail of these people that have been abducting mutants and hurting mutants and things like that. And it leads him to Genosha, where he discovers what the Red Skull's been doing. He gets captured because his powers aren't what they used to be. And with the help of some of the Uncanny Avengers, Havoc, Rogue, and Scarlet Witch, he's set free and decides, this can't happen. After Magneto living through the Holocaust, I won't let the Red Skull do this to my people. Mutants in this case. And he goes and he attacks the Red Skull, and he ends up killing the Red Skull, which creates the Red Onslaught, which, looking at the cover you see on the bottom here, it's the skull inside the big Onslaught armor. The combination of him dying and Charles Xavier brain turns him into this. The first issue here talks about the Red Skull basically transmitting like a hate-amplifying psychic wave out to the world, magnifying people's hatred and causing them to turn on each other and attack each other. You see that there's a few pages of the Avengers fighting amongst themselves, including a now Mjolnir-less Thor and the Falcon wearing his Captain America getup. So you see a little bit of that. I guess the setup to this was a little hard to follow, not having read all the Road to Axis books, which tie into all the standalone things beyond it. So the other Avengers titles and Captain America lead into this. And the rest of the series is going to continue like that. There's going to be pieces in the different X comics, the Avengers comics, that tie into this, as well as the standalone books. The pacing is a little odd to me, which is a little disappointing because it's written by Rick Remender, who's one of my favorite writers. I don't know how they're going to get the full run out of this. It seems like it's moving pretty quickly. Like Iron Man's already kind of figured out how to stop this hate wave that's coming out of Red Onslaught, and Magneto's there, and they've dealt, and some of the other mutants that have dealt with Onslaught in the past. So it'll be interesting to see how they go it. I don't know if it's going to be one of those things that feels like it was stretched out way longer than it needed to be, kind of like the Who Killed the Watcher original Sin storyline. But I'm going to keep reading it and see where it goes and hope that it goes in a direction that I like. I have faith in Rick Remender. Like I said, he's one of my favorite writers. I've enjoyed reading a lot of his different stuff. So going off that, we'll go into our Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. With it being October and Halloween, Archie Comics has decided to relaunch their Sabrina series. This also with the success of their Afterlife with Archie Comics, which everyone who thinks Archie Comics thinks, the light, kind of happy-go-lucky, very positive, family-friendly sort of vibe. This is not that. This is very different. This takes a much darker approach. The story, if I flip open, you see the little cover here. You can see Sabrina's head in the middle. Well, it's a die-cast cover, so when you flip open, you see it's Sabrina's head and the skull and all the demons and witches and stuff there. They also had a special variant cover, which you see there, that was Rosemary's Baby. So the story sets up, and it's basically showing Sabrina as a baby with this, and it talks about her father, Edward Spellman, who is a witch, and in this world, witches worship Satan. They get their powers from, the Dark Lord. And Edward Spellman chose to forego the ways of the witch and marry a mortal woman. Sabrina is their half-breed child. And there's some sort of cult spell ceremony thing that they're gonna do, which involves Sabrina. And the mom's like, no, we can't do that to my daughter. I need more time with her. Tries to run away. Edward, with the help of his sisters Hilda and Zelda, go retrieve Sabrina, continue on, and then you see them get her back, and the mom's like, I'm going to tell everybody what you are, blah, 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 and then he puts his hand on her head, and you see like the smoke kind of come off of it. You don't know exactly what happens, but the next scene is them in a mental hospital. This is set in like the late 50s, early 60s, so it's home for the mentally ill, and the dad's asking the doctor about all this stuff, and basically leaves off that Sabrina's mom's locked up somewhere. Everyone thinks she's crazy. It jumps forward to her 6th birthday when she's having a psychic tantrum and levitating all this stuff in the house, and all these weird things are going on because she's mad that her dad's not there for her birthday, and her aunts are trying to explain to her this is, what he's doing is really important. I know he didn't forget you. He just can't be here right now. They calm her down and give her her present, which is her familiar, the cat Salem, who is a man who was turned into a cat as penalty for trying to recreate the Book of Revelations and summon the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So again, decidedly dark tone. It moves on, shows her a little bit older, dealing with people picking on her in school because she's going to like a special witch school, and they're calling her a half-breed and saying all these awful things. One of the ants transforms into like a giant spider to harass this girl to like scare her away from leave Sabrina alone. It kind of continues on like that. It does a little bit of setting up Sabrina's new life, moving to the familiar. God, my brain is blanking on the original Greendale, I believe it is where Sabrina setting takes place. The artwork it's a little simple, but I think it works really well for the horror feel of it. There's a lot of dark edges and things feel kind of, muted, I guess, which is good. There's some really like off-color jokes that they make throughout it. When her cousin moves in with them in Greendale, they're going up to the attic, and he's like, "It's all very Anne Frank, isn't it?" Which is just in absolute poor taste. There's another thing later where she's like trying on clothes, and he's like, "Well, I'll make you look like somebody else," and he's like, "I'll make you Marilyn Monroe," and she's like graven image. She says graven images because at this point in time Marilyn Monroe's dead. He's like, "Well, would you prefer Jackie?" Referring to Jackie Onassis because of the Kennedy assassination. So yeah, a lot of like off-color jokes and stuff there. It shows her going to her first day at school, meeting some of the other people, meeting the love interest and going on. And it also sets up a thing where they show Betty and Veronica from the regular Archie world that apparently they are also witches, and they have summoned a demon or a succubus from Gehenna, which is the capital city of hell, according to this. And they basically set up that this woman, the succubus that they summoned, was supposed to be married to Sabrina's father until she was rejected for her human mother. And now she's trying to find a new face so that she can basically seek revenge. So it sets up. And you can see on the page here, you've got the skull head with the two skulls and the eyes and the lipstick and the teeth. Very dark. Interested to see where it goes. I know they've been doing a very good job with the Afterlife with Archie series, so this should probably go well also. They did have it point out that it is sort of one of those weird things that calling a cat Salem would be like a Jewish person calling their dog Auschwitz, because it was, the Salem witch burnings where they, killed, tortured witches, and to name your pet that is a little bit kind of in poor taste. It'd be the same thing the other way around. It's like, yeah, let's name something after the worst event that our people have seen. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But I said, very dark direction for Archie comics. But going from that, since it's a Halloween theme, we'll move into our first one from Image, which is the October Faction. And the artwork for this one's done by Steve Niles, who's the same guy who did 30 Days of Night. This one's a very slow kind of setup. The cover here, they show one of the main characters who's a professor. He teaches a class about monsters. And there's lists of all these different fantasy monster types: banshees, djinns, golems, trolls, kaiju, dybbuk, wraiths, things of that sort. And it sets up that it's showing a boy getting picked on by a bully, and basically the boy that's getting picked on is like, well, I know you killed your friends, and he sees ghosts. And they set up that this professor, because his partner shows back up, they used to be monster hunters. They'd hunt werewolves and vampires. So I'm guessing that's where the series is setting up to go to. They kind of don't explicitly state what the direction of the book is. The artwork is cool. It's dark. It's creepy. The tone is very dark, which is really neat. I'm very interested in seeing where the rest of this goes. It's kind of hard to say right now. If it is a monster hunting type scenario, it could be really interesting and really exciting. But like I said, I like the artwork. The writing's good so far. So I'm going to give it a shot, see where it goes, and hope for the best. And then finally, we have Birthright. And this is a subscription variant cover done by Mark Silvestri, who's a fantastic artist who I really enjoy. And it shows some of our main cast here. You have little boy Mikey, who is the main focus of the series. I'm not sure these two characters' names. They're briefly mentioned and introduced, but not really discussed further. But one's a big orc with an axe, and the other's like an angel type character. So the premise of this one is a little boy is playing catch with his dad. The dad throws the ball a little too far, goes off in the woods. Boy runs into the woods and disappears. No trace, no sign, no nothing. You see the fallout in the real world where the dad is trying to find him in the woods, and the mom's freaking out on the phone. And then it jumps forward a little bit to showing his brother Brennan being picked on at school because your brother's dead and this, that, and the other thing. His dad becomes an alcoholic. The parent and his mom's out of the picture, and all this really bad stuff. Things that happen when a child disappears, some of the time. And then suddenly out of nowhere, they find this weird man in the mountains, looking basically just a big Viking warrior, big beard, tattoos, just jacked up, and he's talking like he's this kid Mikey who disappeared a year ago, but he's in his 20s now, fully grown, fully mature, and he's telling all these weird stories about fighting dragons and this big evil. And they're like, this guy's crazy, there's no way he's your kid. And then they're like, but the fingerprints match. And he knows what happened that day. The mom's in denial. The dad's like, no, I know it's him. I can tell, a father knows this stuff. And he explains the story of him going to this other world as a destined hero and set to slay this great evil, and he fulfills that prophecy in that world. He rises, becomes this hero, slays the big bad evil, and then gets sent back to this world to protect this world from, an impending disaster. Time passes faster in the other world, which is why he's older. Or I guess, yeah, in the other world, so that's why he's older. So they set up to kind of, I guess, explain the story of his rise to power in the other world, explain why he's back, what he's going to be fighting, and things like that. I love the concept of it. You don't see a lot of fantasy comics, so it's really nice to see something along that line in that genre. The artwork is pretty solid for it. Like for being I shouldn't say for being an independent, because independents generally have pretty solid artwork. But yeah, they do an excellent job getting everything set up. The fantasy aspects of it look really cool. Like the big hulking orc character is just awesome. And that was one of the first images that really drew me into this book, was seeing that big, bad MFer orc standing there. So I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Again, it's a first issue. It's the setup for a new series. So I'd like to see where it goes, see more fantasy action, more of the fighting the big evil bad things, and see the stuff that gets brought into our world from it. There were a couple of other books that came out this week that I didn't get a chance to pick up. One of them is another horror book called Witches. I might try to pick that up this week and get a chance and read it. Had a lot of stuff going on in the comic world. We also had New York Comic Con that happened over the weekend, so there'll be some news and stuff to come out of that, which I'm going to discuss in the future. I have to update myself on all that. So I'm going to keep up with Access. We have the next issue of Death of Wolverine coming out very soon as well, and I'll recap that event. So thanks for watching. Check out some of the new books that we have here. Birthright, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, an October Faction, or the new Marvel event Access. Let me know what you think. Post in the comments down below, and stay tuned for some of our other shows in the future. We also have a show talking about some of the latest comic book TV things, such as Arrow and The Flash, so make sure to check that one out as well. Thanks for watching. I'm Spider, and this is the Ninja Legion.